just say we were designed to be at ease and to be balanced. Doesn't mean life's not going to be hard, but if we're at ease, we're stable. We can handle that. Our nervous system can be at ease, but many of us feel super stressed and anxious. Your body isn't broken. It's very likely the environment you're in is causing your body to have a response that feels broken. But if you can change that environment, your body's going to respond and adapt.
It is, and I believe God is calling leaders, men and women who will rise up during this time and say, hey, there's a new way, there's a different way that allows us to be completely in alignment with God's will, to operate, in full integrity, spiritually, physically, and at a soul level, mentally, emotionally. And there's so much more available to us. Hello, welcome back to the show. It's Christine, and today I have a guest in the house. I'm really excited about this conversation because it's bringing me back to my roots of holistic health, of really just taking care of the vessel, honoring the temple, and stewarding powerfully the things that God has entrusted us with. I'm joined today by Dan Stachofsky, right? Am I saying that correctly? Yes.
Sure. Yes.
Dan is the founder of Essential Energy, and more importantly, he's a group of international researchers that are looking to solve the problem with EMF. We have technology all around us. We are surrounded by EMF frequencies, and you can't get away from it. So what do we do with it? He has a powerful testimony. We're going to unpack a lot of things that I think are going to get hit home, especially for those of you who care about your family's health, your family's future, and you want to steward wisely the things that God has given you without selling out to the system. So Dan, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Christine. It's great to be here. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Okay, let's jump in. Well, we're going to talk about all the things: stewardship, biblical principles of holistic health. How do we take back our health? But give us a little bit of context first. Before I ask you to share your story, though, I always like to start with, what is the one core message? If you had a megaphone and the only thing people heard about our conversation was this first 3 minutes, what is your message to the world right now?
I believe that we are able to live differently than the world tells us to, differently than our culture, and do it in a way that promotes abundance and beauty and faith. It takes intentionality, takes being willing to step out and look at things differently, to look at the glass, the prism from a different angle. But all the tools are there, all the information is there, and it comes down to, I believe, our identity. Where is our identity? What is our identity in? And from there comes, I think, the wellspring of life. There will come what we need to live differently, but yet more holistically, more balanced, more abundant, more beautifully, and with faith.
I love it. So I'm hearing identity is the root of all things.
I think so.
If you want to live in abundance and beauty, identity is the root of all things.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And how many times the whole challenge we have is understanding identity, and what is it? Where does it go? And where do you get it from?
Yeah. I want to just unpack that first before we jump in, and we're going to circle back to that. But say more about that. Say more about that. What do you mean identity?
Yeah. Identity it's an I am statement. It's who you are. It's who am I? And we all go through phases in life of trying to figure out who I am. How am I going to be defined? When we're children, we're defined by our friends, by our activities, by our sports, or just the things we love to do. And then we get into careers, and maybe we get defined by the career. I'm a doctor. I'm a data scientist. I live here. I live in this zip code. I have this in my bank account. I have this family, I have this wife or spouse, and all of those become the identity, which is that really who you are, or is that what you are? Is that what you have? Instead, more of who you are is really, I believe, I am compassionate. I am beloved. I am uh, a faithful warrior. I am these things of more of character, and the source of where that comes. For me, it comes from of who I am in Christ. And so who am I in there? I'm a child. I'm beloved. I'm righteous. I'm all these things that it doesn't always feel like you are,
Mm-hmm.
but that's your identity. And it's because it's been given to you by someone, and you can own it and live into it. And then from there, that's where the courage for me to break free from some of these old systems, out of the allopathic medicine world for caring, and we'll get into that, for caring for my child, out of
Yeah.
this Western medicine world, to the courage to break out of that and pursue a different path that honestly, it met with a lot of resistance, a lot of skepticism, a lot of questions. But the courage came from my identity as a father and the chief advocate for my daughter, because I believe God created us to heal, and I believe we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and everyone deserves the opportunity to live a full and abundant life. And when we have children, that's my responsibility to help give them that, as to the degree that we can, knowing that it's in God's hands. But that's our mission. And so I'm working through a lot of it. We always are. We're always trying,
Always are.
right?
It's like, do we ever master it? No,
Someone has a better definition for identity, please drop it in the comments. Let us know. But
Yeah.
that's where I'm at right now. It's like, who are you getting your identity from, and what can you say is my I am statement of who I am?
Yeah. I love what you said. I want to tap back into that because we do talk about identity so much on this show, because it doesn't matter if you're trying to build a great family, a great business. Like, somebody is coming to the table every day. Someone is waking up. Someone is deciding what to do or not do. Someone is initiating conversation. And I love what you said, because you said identity is given. I get identity is given and we have to choose it. Like, we get to choose it, we receive it, but it's actually, we're getting it from somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
that's so key. And what I heard you say was, we're either getting it from our stuff, our titles, and there's identity confusion, because your role is not or your title is not who you are at your core, but we get it from there. So it's important, because I think sometimes, like, this is the question we're always asking ourselves is, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Or we're doubting ourselves. You mentioned, like, there was
Mm-hmm.
skepticism, there was question. I imagine there was probably a lot of ridicule along the way of people going like, what, this, are you crazy? Like, this is ridiculous. And I, want to talk about that, but I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to circle back to that real quick before you jump into your story. That I heard you say that I think it's so powerful, that identity is given. It's not something we have to figure out. It's not something we need to grasp. It is something we wrestle with. But we are always choosing where we receive it from. We're either receiving it from the world, or we're receiving it from the author of life, the one who made us, right? It's like, who's the higher authority here? The one who created all life and knows all things, or my employees right now, or the industry right now, or my wife's mood right now?
I feel, for me, one is a bedrock, one is a foundation I can go back to. The
100%.
other one, it shifts all the time, and that's going to lead into a crisis. And when a crisis or a tragedy comes, the one that, if you're getting your identity from your things, or from the world, or from your work, or from these, it's not going to show up and give you the strength you need during that tragedy. The one from the author, who knows you and designed you for a purpose, that's going to hold firm, and that's going to be your foundation. So we're able to show up to places by, not because our identity is in that workplace, but because we bring our identity to the workplace. And that's the special gift that we all have. We all have something unique to offer that no one else can offer. No one else has gone through the life challenges we've gone through, the life experiences. No one has that mental model of all these knowledge and information combined with experience that you have. It's all so unique. And that's a special gift. we bring when we bring our identity to the situation versus getting our identity from the situation.
So good. So good. Y'all need to listen to that again. It's a great reminder. If it's good when things are going well, but when things are going sideways and absolutely not in the direction you want, it's really challenging, and it's something we got to revisit all the time. So bring us into your story. What brought you here? Tell us a little bit about your backstory. What brought you to where you are today? Why does it matter? Why does the work matter?
It's huge. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, thanks for the invitation to share, because 20 years ago, I did not know my identity was kind of in the workplace. It was in the friends. It was, we just gotten married, and we had our first baby. Everything was great, but I didn't know how to do any of that. And we were met with a child who was born early. She had a lot of complications. The nurses in the NICU told us, oh, don't expect much from her. She's got kind of webbed hands. She looks underdeveloped. I think you're going to, set your expectations low. And they were being compassionate. They were just kind of saying, that's fine. But my wife and I were like, no, that isn't going to be the answer. We're not going to just resign to that. There's got to be something more. I said before, we believe we were designed to heal. And, when you cut your hand, it just starts to heal the wound. But if you put a Band-Aid over it, it creates a better environment. It heals faster. It heals better. So the journey was, how do we create an environment for Jane to heal better and complete her healing? Along the way, we met some folks who do very comprehensive neurodevelopment therapy that looks at the person completely holistically. So speech therapy, occupational therapy, hearing, vision, mobility, all of that is in one program. So you don't have to go to
Awesome.
5 or 10 different specialists, one for a half hour a day. One program brings it in. And that was, believe it or not, a watershed concept for us, to think that everything's connected and everything relates to each other. So this kind of concept that we're not isolated. It's not one department solves one thing and the body doesn't respond to that. Everything's responding.
Yes.
So thinking about Jane holistically, comprehensively, led us down the path to then say, the biggest challenge that we were struggling with her was a primary immune deficiency. And this immune deficiency, she didn't create enough of the T cells to fight off infections. That was a physical thing that she just couldn't do. But ultimately, it was her body also didn't produce enough energy to fight off the infection. So anytime she'd get sick, she'd get weak. And then her body goes into protection, and that leads to this in a hospital visit or antibiotics or some intervention. That was 3 to 4 times a year. Well, that every time, because she was so weak, every time she'd get it sick, she'd stop growing. So her growth chart was just up and down, up and down. And whenever she was healthy, she'd grow. Whenever she wouldn't, she couldn't grow because it was focused on her immune system. So the challenge for us was, how do we help heal that immune system or give her body the strength we need? And that led us to into essential oils, frequency therapies, and just looking at things energetically.
Yeah.
And that's where we got a lot of ridicule. That's where we got a lot of pushback, because in that world, in Paul talks about, he says, you need to test the spirits.
Yes.
Growing up, you think it's super easy to know if something's good or evil. It's just black and white. It's easy. Well, the reality is it's very not black and white. Like, there are things that can come and look right and they're wrong, and look wrong and they're right. You have to test it. And that's the way it is in the frequency energy world. There is a lot of stuff that we would never get involved in. But then there are also things that when you speak words over people, it's frequency, and that changes them. And I can't explain it. we can't explain it, but it's in the quantum world. It's how things were designed and created. You can there's a lot of examples out there with water and food and everything's that around the ability to what you say, like if you bless or curse, if you say something that's encouraging or like love or faith or joy versus harsh words, there's a response. Our body has a response, and so that led us down this path of realizing that, okay, we found some devices that could help Jane. And as soon as we started to use them, they're the subtle energy device that creates this frequency, this coherent field of light. And that light interacts with your body and it raises your energy, your cellular energy. We had no idea, but that's what gave Jane enough energy in her body, her mitochondria, her cells, to actually fight off infections.
So
And we went many years without having to go to the hospital. We were able to move out of Seattle back closer to my family. I mean, there's just so many benefits for her and our family that came from having stability that that are remarkable. But people took notice of that. So why we're here is because when people started asking, I started to share what we were doing, and they started to use the same devices, and they were having very similar responses. And it was like, okay, these things really are working. Like this, it's hard to explain the quantum world, but when you observe, when you truly do scientific method, where you have a hypothesis, you set your procedures, and then you observe the outcomes and you analyze that, I believe nature speaks. And if we listen, we will see. We are the best instruments to analyze the environment around us. If we listen to ourselves, listen to our body, we can trust it. And that's something we don't really believe. We don't believe we can really trust ourselves, but we can. And when we learn to do that, then I think the world starts to open up.
so much gold in there. I'm just like, yes, yes, that. You had said so many things. I love actually where you landed, which was our bodies are instruments and they're responsive. It makes me think about when I even work with my clients and I'm like, you're a huge responder. Like everywhere you are a receptor, and you are receiving data and information and coding from the environment. And the question is, what are you dialed into, right? Like every frequency has to be dialed into something.
100%. 100%. That's
It's like
great.
I'm receiving anyways. I'm like, whether you think you are or not, like you are receiving. You're just either receiving, toxicity in, and then you're agreeing it with your words, with your actions, and now we're just like strengthening and reinforcing that, or we're tuning into a different frequency. And I always say, like, it's the frequency of heaven, like, and I just wanted to pause because it it makes me think about, we don't understand the quantum as long as we're in a linear way of thinking, right? Because we're like in this flat kind of like, I'll see it when I believe it. Things move from A to Z. And I just remember this was a while ago, like when the Lord was really getting this into me. He's like, I do not work linearly. Like this is a multi-dimensional, like I'm here all time and space. Like the past, the future is already here. Like the words that I spoke back then are still resonating today. And it was funny because I found out in my studies, this was about sound, but I'm sure it's the same for light. Of course it is that when we speak something or when something is spoken, the resonance, the ripple effect continues on and continues on. It's not like, oh, it continues and it dies out. It has it has a resonance through time and space.
Yeah.
It's just like, whoa, it's not just what I'm saying when it says you'll take into account for the words you speak, because those are resonating. They're just like vibrating through the airwaves, right? You could see that. And you just have to take account of like walking into a room where people are just really negative or they're complaining and they're grumbling. And it's like, immediately you can feel the weight of the atmosphere. It's like, what happened? There's density in the air. There's density in the atmosphere, and your cells literally, I'm thinking about, just growing up in an environment that felt very suffocating. And it's like, it starts to like compress you, and like it's a heavy, oppressive kind of atmosphere that makes you sick over time.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah, because and we are multidimensional. We're spiritual, we're emotional, we're physical. Disease doesn't just show up on the physical
yeah,
side. It's usually in the spiritual realm first, and it comes down through our emotions, and emotions I kind of tie into the genetic epigenetics as well, like the things we get passed through our in our DNA, the frequency of that, and then it comes into the physical. Um, and so there's no time lost. I've heard that said. There's no time lost, and because he's the author of time,
yes, time is redeemed.
it is redeemed.
Yeah,
And that is a great promise because who doesn't need time redeemed? Who hasn't had lost years that you're like, wow, what was I doing back then? Or man, I wish I could have that time back. I went down the wrong path. I want to come back. And it comes into speaking truth and acknowledging that and saying, you know what, I had a fear. Went into avoidance or isolation. But in that but even then there were moments where you made choices that were about that were from your identity, from strength, and where God showed up and said, no, this is who you are. Be this, even in the midst of that challenge. And that was that was with Jane. We had 7 years where she was really pretty sick, really challenged, and then 7 years where things were more stable. But she ended up she did end up passing away. And this was about 4.5 years ago. She passed away from heart failure, something we hadn't really planned on or seen in
yeah,
her at all. So it was kind of surprising. But it's like, if back to identity, if my identity had been in her, like all about her, like I've talked with this with my wife, and this is sensitive, so I want to be careful. Um, because if I was not bringing my identity from the author of my identity, from God, to how I care for Jane, but my identity was in the fact that I am Jane's caregiver, I am Jane's healer, I'm Jane's
yes,
solution, then when she passed, it would have been a major tragedy, and I would have
oh
gone into a super deep depression. But God in his mercy, I went through times where I was that. I mean, there's no
sure,
question. Like, you go in and
absolutely,
out. But in his mercy, I Tara and I had times where we knew like maybe her life would be a little shorter. We were here to steward her and to care for her. Um, he protected us from having our identity in that, and instead our identity was in him. So when she passed, it wasn't. It was I don't know. It was like this. We had this understanding that she came a moment in time for a purpose, and we were continuing to understand what that purpose was. But she was a teacher,
mm,
and she taught us how to love God more. She was incredibly. The passage on her headstone is, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." There
mm,
is no one who had less care. She had, you're not supposed to have cares of this world. Like, she just did. She just wrote people letters, and she was just in the moment. She was present, and that taught us so much. And then she taught us so much about our bodies and how we interact with the environment we're in, that we've now been able to share this message with so many people. And that's why we're here, because we're sharing this message of hope and redemption, of the fact that we can steward the environment we're in. We can steward our own body in a way that maybe have never been taught, and it can help us break out of I love your title, break out of the chains that are holding us, because the environment we're in, with all the Wi-Fi and cell phones and cell towers and LED lights and all this stuff, it holds us down. It suppresses our system. It suppresses nature. The
yes,
bird the birds don't navigate as well. The bees don't operate as well. The bears don't put on their coat. This is all documented, and and monitored for years. It's nothing, this isn't new, unfortunately. And this is what I mean. Like, the information is out there for us to live differently than we thought was what was normal. And so it's been known, and the environment that we're creating is accelerating into this environment where we become really in bondage to a way of thinking that is like, we have to have all the subscriptions. Like, that's just what we have to do.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not have all, like, 5 different subscriptions for TVs
Yeah.
and all your music? How do you not have your kids in 4 sports at the same time? You know, how do you, like, all the, it's like that, but actually that's just what's being kind of channeled into us. And the level of electromagnetic frequencies from that puts stress on our system. And that stress actually makes it really hard to make better or different decisions than the crowd. It's easier to make a decision that everyone else is doing, because I'm so stressed. I have so much anxiety. I have so much pressure. I can't actually make a good choice. That's hard. It's too many brain calories. And so breaking free of that and getting more light in our body, shining more physical, like, of that coherent light, and there's lots of ways to do it, but it's from our good quality food, it's from getting sunlight, good quality water, and then these devices we found, it actually puts you on a different path and helps you get out of that rut.
So good. You always talk, and then you have so many ways, and I'm like, wow, where do we go with all that? First of all, I want to honor Jane because, and I love what you said, is that if your identity was rooted in being her caregiver and her results, then who would you be when she passed away? But instead, you were able to see her as a teacher, as a legacy maker, as a lover, like, really a torchbearer. I'm hearing of hope and what's possible, and a catalyst for new things coming out that can help people. And so, we never know. It makes me think about that verse in Isaiah 55, that my ways are higher than your ways, than my plans and my thoughts. And it's like, gosh, we never know why you do the things you do in the moment. Did we never understand it? And then on the other side, we're like, wow, we could see him working the whole time. And so I just want to honor, you and your wife and Jane, and just, my heart goes out because I've been in similars. I have not lost a child, but I've had many times where I thought I was about to, and the Lord had said, "They're my kids, not your kids. It's my child. This is my child, and you've been entrusted with her, and now will you give her back to me?" And I was like, "Oh, like, what are you gonna do?" And it was just that tension of, He's like, "Give her to me," because the more you hold on, the more she's going to run the opposite way, and the more you're going to lose her. And so, anyways, I love.
It's so hard. I'll just that is true, and it's not that we didn't have an identity crisis when she passed. Like, we did. Like, I was not done caring for her. Like, I loved caring for her, and I had so much more I wanted to do. So we did have a crisis, but ultimately the truth of who we were came through and held us.
But the crisis didn't define you.
Right.
It didn't become your resting place.
Yeah, thankfully. It doesn't need to be. It feels like sometimes it's like, is that genuine? Like, you almost, the deception is, or the accusation is, if it doesn't define you and if you don't stay there, then it's like, where's your compassion? Like, did you even love her? Like, all these things, like, but actually that's not true. Like, that's a lie that we want to continue. Like, I'm working for all this stuff, like, even now, 4.5 years later, like, at different levels, that we can't get stuck there. We have to go on, because because my unique identity, my unique gift that I bring to the world still needs to come forward, because I'm still here, and there's still a purpose in that.
He's not done with you yet.
No, he's not.
He's just getting started.
Thank you.
Thank you for being honest. I think, just being honest about that. Hey, we're in it. Sometimes we come in and out of it, but we don't stay there. We still wrestle with it. We're still in this body. We're still soulish at times, and we're
Mhm.
gonna wrestle with it. But I love what you said, that father of lies loves to come in and sound like compassion. Well, you must have not really loved her enough. Well, you must not really care enough. Well, and it's just like, wow, it reminds me of when Peter, or Jesus told Peter, "Get behind me, Satan.
Yeah.
Get behind me, Satan." And that's that discernment of hearing the Spirit that's talking to you. Because if it's true that Jesus is the author of life, and if it's true that he's the great physician, then we have to believe that it's also true that the great physician knows
Yeah.
when it's time,
Yeah.
right? um, that he
Yeah.
that the life is fulfilled, that he's fulfilled his purpose, and the life has been redeemed, and now it's time to move on. Like, it's so hard for our brain to grasp, but it's so
Oh,
like,
on the
but
human level, it's super hard. It's super hard, but it is
your spirit
healthy.
knows it.
It's on the spiritual level, emotional level, it is so good. And then we can share, and we can share what we've learned and help others. And I feel like if there's a reason that you go through hard times, it's so that you can share that with others and encourage other people. And I love being able to do that because uh, we need help. We need help from each other. It takes community. We have to. And the other thing is we all want to avoid or go into isolation, and that just leads to
Totally.
depression because now we have this pressure underneath us. But by being around people and giving it back to God, He takes that pressure off through friendships and through Himself. Like He can do that, and He's done it for us. So yeah, this is good. I'm grateful for this conversation. This is good because I think people,
It's
yeah,
powerful, because what you
we
said is
all,
so true, that when we hear those accusations, that self-doubt starts to come in, and that critical spirit, and we start doubting ourselves, we start doubting God, and then we're like, wait, did I miss it? And it's just like spiral, and then you move into that isolation, which is exactly where the enemy wants you, alone, separated from God, separated from the truth, separated from each other. And I love on I'm sorry, I didn't catch your wife's name. I think
Tara,
Tara.
yeah.
The fact that you two are here, you're standing. I know you have 7 children. Like,
Hmm.
that in itself is all right. We are back. We had a little glitch there, but we are back because we have authority over technology. Technology does not rule us, it supports us in the name of Jesus. Okay, so I want to, we're praying over the technology because that's twice this week that I was doing something that I felt was important. I knew it was important, and the technology starts to glitch. And it's like, okay, it's a tool, not the master. So
That's right.
that's what
That's
I have
right.
to say about that. Okay, I want to go jump back into the conversation, and I want to start unpacking a little bit the biblical framework. I don't even want to use that word, framework, principles for health, for vitality, right? Because you've talked about light, you've talked about energy. So that is just a reality that in the world that we live in the world, it's how the universe is structured, right? We don't worship the universe. God
Yeah.
created the universe, and so he created it as structures of light, right? Resonance, frequencies, like words create our, architecture. So what I want to do is actually just unpack that a little bit further, because we have spiritual light. Like, I
Hmm.
am the light of the world, right? You're a light, you're like a city on a hill. And so we're called to carry the light of Christ. So I'm thinking, like, people know that, we've studied that, we've heard it, we say it. So we're already like carrying the light of Christ in the spirit as spiritual beings. But what you're talking about is also light, as in like what our cells respond to, right? Is it the
Hmm.
same thing? I just want you to like help unpack this a little bit for people, because it's like, okay, what's spiritual light versus coherence? Is it the
Yeah.
same thing? Are we talking about different things? How does one support the other? Does that make
Yeah.
sense? My
Yeah.
question?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I get this question comes up, and it was one of the main questions I had early on because I had to get an understanding of how could these, and we'll get into the products, but how do the stainless steel plates, how does this technology, this subtle energy even work? How does it, and it works in resonance with resonance of light. So you had mentioned sound, and how sound has resonance and harmonics. And if you have a guitar, it has 6 strings. Well, if they're all in tune, you can play the guitar and it sounds beautiful. But
Mm-hmm.
if one of them is out of tune, there's a dissonance. It doesn't sound right. You can
Mm-hmm.
tell when it's out of key. um, and that is true even for our health and our life as well, our body. If we have, and they all work together, like the we have faith is a string on the guitar, we have family, we have uh, and then we have nutrition, we have how we think, how we pray, how we eat well or and feel well. But then we also have the environment is a string that we need to tune. And um, when what kind of came to me was that early on in first when in Genesis, when God created, he said, let there be light. And that is a frequency. So he
Yes.
spoke a word. That speaking has a field to it, has a frequency, has an impact. And then it created something. It created this thing called light. And that light, we know, works in the plant world with a process called photosynthesis. So the plants use natural sunlight to for its photosynthesis to produce the sugars and the nutrition that we then eat. And that then gives us energy. So we're actually eating the sunlight that comes into the plant, and it gives us energy. One reason why we want to look at eating healthier foods, like
Yes.
raw foods or like salads, like fresh foods, because we're getting more of that light energy that came from the plant. Now, when I say light energy, this isn't something that's metaphysical. This is a physical property that just is how God kind of, the natural laws of creation. And our bodies, our cells, use light. So this was an interesting fact. So our bodies have about 50 to 70 trillion cells that make up our body. Each one of those cells has 100,000 chemical reactions a second.
Mm.
So that's like a quintillion number of chemical reactions that then fuel the biochemistry, the biology and the chemistry that our bodies do. In order to get the energy for for those chemical reactions, we have to get the energy from somewhere, and it gets it from a photon, from a biophoton, a spark of light that our bodies produce. That photon, that particle of light, comes from from our mitochondria, or how well our bodies are utilizing the energy from our food and our water that we take in. The quality of that photon is greatly impacted by the environment we live in. We underestimate how looking at a blue screen all day or staying inside under LED lights, how that affects our body and how we react to it. So our body has this antennas called the DNA and mitochondria that are always reacting to the environment. They have to react because they are regulating, the mitochondria regulates how much ATP or how much energy we're producing so we can function. If it's a gray day, we're going to produce different energy than if it's sunny.
Yes.
And it's kind of that simple. So
This
when
is why you feel so like down and you want to sleep and you just want to hibernate when it's drab outside. This is why I
right,
needed to leave Toronto and move to
yeah,
North Carolina.
you,
Okay.
you need to get close to where you can go to the mountains,
Yeah.
into the trees, and into the ocean where you can get the negative ions from the surf crashing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is all just physical reality. And there are a lot of worldviews that kind of co-opt this and start to elevate these things beyond just they were the natural creation.
Yes.
But when we look at it as like this is kind of the physical way that we were created, we can then start to steward that and say, well, how do we do it better? Are there
Mm-hmm.
steps we can take to do it better? So you asked about the spiritual. So we are that verse, we are the light of the world, to me means we are not just the spiritual light of the world. which can shine bright or be dim, right? We can
Mhm.
either be on fire and we can be sharing, witnessing what God has done. Like we're witnessing today, our stories, our testimonies,
Mhm.
we're witnessing, or we can hold it in.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing physically. We can either shine brighter physically or we can be dim. If we have a unhealthy kind of environment, or if we just do fast food all the time, I like to use that example, like fast food, kind of junk food. If that's all we eat, it's going to show up in our skin. It's going to show
Yeah.
up in our eyes. We're not going to be as healthy or as bright. And that's the same thing when we're around junk light, like
Mhm.
this artificial form of light. Our bodies don't get the same quality of light, the same energy production that we do from sunlight or earth, the natural world. So we can both be we can both be the light of the world spiritually and physically. um, I have a device that is called a BioWell. It actually looks at the energy that our fingertips produce. So we scan people with all 10 fingertips,
Okay.
and each of those fingertips has acupuncture points and they connect to meridians. And these meridians, these are energetic lines in the nervous system that tap into different organs or systems in the body. And so we can scan people to see how balanced their nervous system is and how balanced their body is energetically or based on
Mm.
the photons being produced. So, for example, the liver will show up on a part of the finger, or the thyroid will show up a part of the
Mm.
finger energetically. So, this is physical light that our bodies
Yep.
are producing that we can scan, and we'll see if it's stronger right, if it's right dominant or left dominant or balanced.
What does
We
that
can
mean, right dominant or left dominant?
Well, from this scan, there are different ways to think about it, but from this scan, since we're scanning the right hand to the left hand, it's is the thyroid for some reason putting more energy out on the right side of our body or the left side of our body? It's kind
Mm.
of that can be that basic. What it means is that
Oh,
there is stress on the thyroid, or there is stress on the liver, or stress on the nervous system that is causing it to be out of balance. And when it's out of balance, it's out of harmony. It has
dis-
disharmony, and
yeah.
that disharmony, if not addressed long term, will lead to dis-ease.
Disease.
And that dis-ease is what a lot of the pharmaceuticals like to call dis-ease. I like to put a hyphen in there and just say we were designed to be at ease and to be balanced. Doesn't mean life's not going to be hard, but if we're at ease, we're stable. We can handle that. Our nervous system can be at ease, but many of us feel super stressed and anxious, and that's where I was. And so this by increasing the body's cellular energy, we actually can bring that balance back. So I'll scan people to show them a physical representation of what we're talking about, that our bodies actually produce energy, produce light. And for a lot of us, definitely a new concept, and it's kind of weird. But in scripture, we talk about laying on of hands.
Yes.
And when we lay hands, what are we doing? We're actually, I
True.
can physically show you the energy that's coming from your fingers that are being placed on that person.
Wow. So we're transferring energy onto that other person. And this
Right.
is where maybe like nervous system coherence, when you're in a relationship with someone and they're grounded and they're calm, they can help regulate your nervous system. And also the other way around, if it's chaos and hurricane that walks into the room with them all the time, it starts to disrupt your nervous system. Is
Right.
that
Absolutely.
that's
Because
what
we're
that is?
resonating, we're feeding off each other. We want to match each other and support each other. And sometimes you're going to be the one who helps lift somebody up, but sometimes you're going to be the one who's going to get brought down. And
How do
so
we protect ourselves from that?
yeah, exactly. Being aware of it is the number one thing. Being conscious and aware and understanding that your environment does affect you. So I coach people on EMF health. So EMF health is this it's like mental health, physical health and stuff. It's being aware of the fact that you can walk into a room and analyze it from a electromagnetic fields perspective, the where to sit or how to interact, or if you should even be in the room at all.
How?
So recognizing one that our bodies do respond to electricity,
Mm-hmm.
artificial, man-made EMF. So this kind of pivots to what the work that we're doing is man-made. So there's two forms of electromagnetic fields. There's natural electromagnetic fields that come from the sun, from the earth, from plants, from each other. And then there's artificial natural field, artificial electromagnetic fields, and that comes from all forms of electricity. So it comes from the power grid, comes from your electrical panel, comes from the motor that runs your refrigerator, it comes from your Wi-Fi router, your cell phone, your 5G tower that's near you. All of those are artificial and they're digital packets and they're polarizing, a polarized form of light. And when that hits your cells, it actually builds up voltage on your cell walls. And that voltage creates a stress and that the body has to react to. It's not immune to it. It has to respond to create balance again. I believe our bodies are not, if we're sick, if someone listening to this is chronically ill right now and no doctor has an answer for it, and you're like, I just don't know what is wrong with me, your body isn't broken. It's very likely the environment you're in is causing your body to have a response that feels broken. But if you can change that environment, your body's going to respond and adapt. And so that's what we can do. We can help you change that environment through changing out your LED lights for incandescent or for full spectrum LED lights, putting a filter on your electrical panel to clean up the dirty electricity, even just shutting your Wi-Fi off at night so that at nighttime you're sleeping in a cleaner environment,
Yes.
charging or putting your cell phone in a different room at night or at least 10 feet away from you. If you can't do that because you need the alarm, putting it in a Faraday bag so you can still use your alarm, but you're not getting the signals from your phone. Those are simple steps that can help you create a healthier, balanced environment that's more EMF healthy. Your body then can go into a place of rest and repair. Then we have products, we have plates that this is what we found for Jane. These stainless steel plates. If you're watching it, I mean, I'm showing you. These are really unassuming stainless steel plates, and I'm telling you, as a person who comes from a traditional kind of Christian worldview, this was really weird, really hard to get out of. But I did science in university, and one of my favorite classes in high school was physics. The fact that everything is in motion, that there are frequencies with everything, that even this hard table, the molecules are resonating, and there's resonance to it. It gets lost when we go into adulthood and think about how we always using pain medication when we're sick or going to the doctor for antibiotics. We kind of lose sight of the fact that actually everything is resonating. If I can improve the quality of that, we can improve it. And so these stainless steel plates have been engineered in a very specific way to create this balanced, coherent field of light. When our body interacts with it, it's like a tuning fork for the body. It keeps our body in a higher degree of order and higher resonance, puts our body into balance. This is why I use that BioWell. It shows very quickly that our bodies can adapt to this field and that it gets it into balance. When that happens, we've created a foundation energetically and physically for our body to communicate better together. The EMFs, the artificial EMFs, create static on our nervous system and between our cells. So it's like the old cell phone commercials. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Our cells cannot hear each other as well as they should. So we need to quiet that noise. And these plates are a great way to do it 24/7, wherever you're at. When you walk into a grocery store, you go to the office, you go to church, you go wherever you go, and there's hundreds of cell phones around you. There's the fluorescent or LED lights, there's Wi-Fi routers, and repeaters everywhere. This gives you something to stay tuned into. And I saw that change first. That's what helped Jane create balance. It helped me with my stress and anxiety to stay balanced. It's helped my wife with her Hashimoto's. It's
Wow.
helped people with their travel with jet lag. It's helped with pain management. It's even helped with fertility. I'm telling you, like people's bodies, when they're around coherent energy, coherent light, it responds really well.
Hey, I want to let you know about a live masterclass I'm hosting soon called Reclaiming the Territory of Your Marriage. I'm going to be sharing the 3 keys to help you rebuild connection with your spouse, restore trust, and lead with greater certainty at home. So click on the link, get registered. This is an exclusive event for a limited time. It is powerful and you do not want to miss it. You're going to walk away with actionable steps and clear strategies that you can apply this week. Click on the link, get registered, and I'll see you on the other side.
And that's so this is more of a lifestyle that we're coaching now. Yeah, the products are really important, but there's so much we can do in addition to that that gives us a sense of awareness when we walk into a room. Should I sit next to, in that, like into a restaurant? Should I sit next to all those TVs, or should I sit over in this corner where there's
Next
no
to the
TV
plan.
and there's no outlet and we can be it's quieter.
Yeah, this is
So
awesome. And I think I love this because intuitively we know. And Mark, I know if you're ever listening to this, this is why I'm very selective about when we go out to eat. I'm like, no, we're sitting over there by the window next to the plants. My body wants that light. It wants the outdoor patios. It wants the
yeah,
nice soft light. It wants, and this is why he's always joking. He's like, you always want to go to the nice restaurants. And I'm like, yeah, because a lot of those other ones, it's like dark and dingy and the light is bad and the TVs are blaring. And
right.
it's just that it's like rejecting my body's like rejecting that, and I'm
Exactly.
thinking about our own house, such a blessing from the Lord. But we have massive windows everywhere, like massive windows and lots of green everywhere you look. And it's just awesome. And, it's funny because
Exactly.
it's
And
just,
it,
it
it
changes the
and
way
we
you
do
feel.
resonate with that and it's beautiful and people walk into it and they notice it. And so those are the little, those are the things I think just bringing it to the awareness is step one. And then truth telling and telling ourselves like this is what I need, or this is what I need to change. Um, there can be fear with it. But we want to break out of that by realizing we can start to steward this. We can start to steward our body in a way energetically, like we would physically. If we like to exercise, or we want to eat better, or we would do mental health exercises, breathing exercises, those are all stewardship practices. Well, now from an EMF perspective, how do we steward that? And it's not just screen time. It goes beyond more than just that. Yes, manage your screen time, but manage the way your relationship with technology, with electricity, and realize that you 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 can't get healthy, you can't heal in the same environment that you got sick in. And
Mm,
so and I wasn't the first person to say that. I don't know who said that, but
so good though.
it's a great quote.
It's so good. It's so true.
And so let's own that. Let's live into that and start taking that a little bit more seriously, because the environment that we're creating is accelerating so fast, that with the data centers and more electricity, we've got our neighbors have EV cars. That's putting more dirty electricity into our home. Like there's so much more electricity on the grid. There's so much more electricity in the air with all these wireless signals than there's ever been. In fact, there's one with 18 zeros behind it, more electricity, more EMFs today than there were in the early 1900s. So just 100 years ago, we've dramatically increased the amount that we are surrounded by. Our bodies are always responding to it. Let's help our bodies get a healthier response.
Yeah, I like that. So good. I love that you said that. We can't heal in the environment that got us sick in the first place.
Yeah.
And so every environment is either making us sicker or healthier. So are they all that big? Like, do you have to wear that all the time? Do you
Right.
have different styles? I'm thinking about, well, that doesn't really match my style.
I
How do
know.
is this the same thing also that you stick on the back of your phone? Like I have the ones that you stick on the back of your phone, and we have like a we actually have an EMF. I don't know if the word tech blocker is correct because you're not actually blocking EMF, right? You're
Right.
just you're emitting a different frequency, and it's kind of they're playing against each other, right? Is that how I understand it? Is that it
Yeah, I think
emits
the
more of
one.
that frequency that emulates nature so that it starts to offset. Is that correct? Am I
Yeah, I think so. It's think of like a noise canceling headphone.
okay?
The device you have is like a noise canceling headphone.
Okay.
It's just canceling the noise so that your cells don't get interfered by it.
Scrambled by it. This is
Our
interesting.
what these plates are doing is that, and because it's photonic, it's using a coherent light, it's also inputting information that brings that's more life-giving. So it's like taking it to a different level of saying, not only do we want to create a clean environment, we actually need to also enhance our cellular energy
Yeah.
and optimize our health. And so that's what you can do when you use photonics like this versus just electricity. If you're plugging a device into the house and using electricity, there's a there's a limit to, I think, the full benefit that you're going to get long term, because our bodies are always adapting and they want to heal. They want to continue to heal and stay balanced. And light, that's what the full spectrum of the sunlight
Yeah.
does. That's why
Yeah.
when we're sick, like, get
Go
outside,
in the sun.
let the
Yeah.
sun heal us. We don't go when we're sick, we don't want to just go to a frequency machine, something that's putting out a frequency that says, oh, this is a healing. It could be beneficial for a period of time, it could be therapeutic, but ultimately we want nature to heal us. And that's what these our plates reinforce, that the natural energy, the natural feel of light, and amplify that in the body. And so it kind of is a different, it's similar, it's compatible with what you have, like those stickers and everything, but it's totally different philosophy.
Okay.
um
I
but the
like that though, because
goal.
I'm hearing it's like you sweep the house clean, but then you want to open the windows and let the light in and the fresh air. Like you want to infuse. It's no different. It makes me think actually of how Jesus says, like, do not cast, if you cast something out, but do not, it'll come back 7 times stronger,
Oh wow, yeah.
a spirit out, because it's like you have to fill the house. You have to fill the spiritual house with the spirit of God, the spirit of wisdom, the spirit of truth. You're not just here to cast out the demons or the negative thing. What are you replacing it with? What are you filling yourself back up with? Right.
Right.
And that's what, as you were talking about,
Yeah.
well, we'll
So
have
we
to
have
definitely
small.
get some of these these
Yeah.
devices, because I want to try them out, and if I love them, I'm going to give them to every one of my clients.
Exactly. Actually, I have a lot of coaches who are doing that. It's
Yeah.
become a big part of their program
Yeah.
because they see how important it is to have their clients in a clean environment and their body to be optimized cellularly. Now, that's when you start to build and stack on top of it. So we do have a smaller version of this that's like a 1 inch square plate that's
Yeah.
really pretty. It's stainless steel, so it's really a pretty that you can wear right around your neck. This one is a 2.5 inch plate. You can wear it around your neck, or you can put it in your pocket or your purse or your wallet and carry it with you. And then we have larger ones that become more therapeutic and more of like light therapy for the body and for the home. And they can produce this coherent field around the home. And then a lot of what I've been doing is helping farmers with, we have larger units that actually can go onto farms or clinics or hot places of work. So if you own a business, you can create this coherent field of light in your business. So we've got a grocery stores in New York and restaurants that
Awesome.
are doing this because they realize like the quality of the environment matters. And farmers see this show up with their animals. They'll say they will never farm again without putting one of our geofield conditioners on their farm, because the environment matters that much to how their dairy cows produce milk, the quality of the milk. And we had Utah State University do a nutrient analysis, and the milk quality is above benchmark on all levels, everything that gets measured. The quality of eggs were also significantly higher, 7 times the vitamin E and two
Wow.
times the vitamin A above benchmark.
Wow.
So the ability for the animals to produce healthier food shows that they are a healthier organism, and that's because the environment is improved. And yes, then when farmers start doing more holistic or regenerative practices, or they start caring for their animals a little better, building the soil, that only just makes it even better. And it's same with us. If we can create the foundation, this EMF layer, and clean that up, then all of a sudden we're starting to take the pressure off. The stress in our mind around and the anxiety starts to come down. Now I can start to make a choice to just eat a little better. Maybe I'm going to
Yeah.
start to do organic, organic milk, or I'm going to start to eat more fresh food. I'll have a salad with every meal, something
Hmm.
like that. It starts to allow us to kind of introduce better lifestyle habits. And that's what,
Yeah.
so this is kind of like, it's an exciting thing because we're at a time where we have all this knowledge and information that about our health and well-being that we haven't had for a long time, like we maybe never had before. The amount of information and knowledge of our physiology, and yet now we have an environment that's extremely toxic from an electromagnetic perspective. And yet if we can remove that toxicity, we can start to apply what we know from like the holistic well lifestyle perspective, and actually take full advantage of all that. And
Yeah.
that's what we love to do.
I love that. Well, that's what I was going to try to land us is like, where's this macro, where do you see this going, whether it's medicine or farming and, our industry? Cause you've got people who have a very dystopian view that's like, oh, the whole world is going to hell because we've got AI taking over. EMF is everywhere. Like we're just, in line to just die
Yeah.
basically. Or
Right.
like, what does it look like when we actually have technology tools, systems that allow us to continue to advance and stay healthy. It's like
Right.
yes and uh, so
Yeah.
that's
I think
awesome.
there's two systems. There's a
Yep.
system that is going to burn itself out. It's
Yes.
not sustainable. I've seen the math on these data centers. They don't pencil. There's no ROI for this. In 4 or 5 years, they have to replace all the servers with the latest technology. So they're not
Yeah.
generating income. They're
Yeah.
just billions and billions of dollars down the drain. So the system that's going to burn itself out, but there's another system. And isn't that the way of Jesus? Isn't that the
Yes.
way
There's
that
another system.
there's another system? I love that about Beatitudes. It's like there's this other way of thinking that if we can live into that and find our community there, that the system that's going to burn itself up out will do it. But we can still live a stewardship life that is abundant, full of beauty, full of faith and community, that is life giving. And we can share that with people and share that life and witness to it. Um, and so how we do even do business, how we get our food, like these farms that are producing this food, it's better quality. Like many of them are regenerative already, so they're already looking to make healthy food. And now it's like this other category of healthier food.
So good.
Okay, let's go.
I love it.
Let's get from them. Let's
Yeah.
buy direct from them, and bypass the store that you can't hardly shop in without all the chemicals and the byproducts and all this. Like let's just go direct to the farmer, get from them. So I think there are two systems, and the more you lean into this system that is more local, um, it's more personal, it's community based, it's going to be pretty. It's a fun lifestyle.
It's a
It's fun.
fun thing. I'm
It is fun.
excited about the future. I'm hopeful about the future. And in
Absolutely.
fact, Dan, um, I think we need to have you back on the show and just talk about that. What does that
Okay,
look like? What's
let's
the
do it.
what give people vision for what's coming down? Like, because obviously you're a visionary, you're a pioneer, you're setting things in motion, and I think like it is, and I believe God is calling leaders, men and women who will rise up during this time and say, "Hey, there's a new way, there's a different way." that allows us to be completely in alignment with God's will, to operate, in full integrity, spiritually, physically, and at a soul level, mentally, emotionally. And like, there's so much more available to us. So we need to break out of these religious boxes and these institutional boxes and go, Lord, like, what does it look like, to bring heaven on earth? And what is the new education, new farming, new healthcare look like? I think I'd love to have more of those conversations, because it's just planting the seeds, letting people know that this is already in the works. These are not just crazy ideas. Like, people are already doing this. This is already operating realities for people. And the more people see it, it's like, oh, now if it's true for them, it can be true for me. And now, I'll raise my hand. And just makes me think about we have dear friends that have been in the pharmaceutical world as researchers for a long time, and we're just really discouraged. And my gosh, they want so much to make the leap, but there's so much fear around that, right? And
Sure.
like getting called out, and like, where are we going to go? What are we going to provide? Can we contribute? And almost a discouragement around, like, is there other people talking about this? And it's like, yes, there's a lot of people talking about this. There's a lot of people doing different things. And the more we talk about it, the more we invite people to raise their hand. And before you know it, you have a movement. And by the way, this is biblical discipleship.
That's right.
Right?
This is the way of the kingdom.
This is it.
It's not a club. It's not like this club or that club. It's not just it's just the way of the kingdom. It's how we were designed. It's how we were created. And if you're someone who's in the workplace and you want to bring, like, there are biblical ways to, there's good ways to do business different, to bring the kingdom to the workplace. And I love to talk about that, because I think the way we're doing things is pretty unique, but it's in alignment. And I'm trying to find areas in my life where there's mixture, where I'm doing it the world's way still, but not like the way that we were trained is not always wrong, but what's the mind of Christ in that?
Yeah. It's good.
So we can explore that. That's
All
the
right.
cliffhanger.
I love it. Y'all, listen up. We're doing a part 2. I just voluntold you. Okay, well, thank you so much, Dan, for being here. It was such an awesome conversation. I'm like, whoa, we really got over time. We did have some tech glitches, but I know you guys, I'm not even going to say I hope, I know you all got some incredible gold out of this. There's so many great pieces to go back, listen to again, share this with somebody, and check out the links below. You could check out Dan's shop, their website, their mission, what they're doing in the marketplace, and also just as their heart in their nonprofit. So thank you for being here. We'll see you guys next time. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Take care.